Recently, while watching YouTube, I found this cool video where he shows how we can make this effect, but the JavaScript is something that I couldn't understand simply because I'm very new to it. So, with my limited knowledge, I decided to recreate it with my style. So, let's get started. We start by adding a div called custom cursor, and then we style that custom cursor by giving it width 150 pixels, height 150 pixels, and let's add a red color for now. So let's give it a position of fixed so that we can place it anywhere on our website, and give top 0 and left 0, but top and left value doesn't really matter because we are going to use our mouse location to change that value. Now if we give the top as 30 pixels and left as 50 pixels, you can see that we have an offset of 30 pixels from top and offset of 50 pixels from left. Because we are going to change top and left with JavaScript, let's just keep it 0. In JavaScript, let's reference our custom cursor and let's add an event listener with the inbuilt mouse move function. The mouse move function actually has lots of different properties, and from those properties we only want client X and client Y. You can watch the longer version of this tutorial if you want to learn more, but for now we will stick to the shorter version. Now for this one we are using client Y for the top value because we want it in Y axis, and then we added pixels at the end, and make sure you actually use equal to and not the double dots. Now you can see that the square is actually getting tracked by our mouse in the Y axis. So let's just copy the Y axis, just paste it, and rather than top value we'll change the left value, and we will change the client X instead of client Y so that it is in the X axis. And now the square is following us on the both X axis and Y axis, which is pretty cool. So let's just give it a border radius of 50% so that it turns into a circle. But now that we have gotten it tracking, we can see that it is not actually being in center. So let's just add a transform property and translate it 50% on the left and 50% on the top so that it just gets into the center. The circle is way too big, so let's just scale down by adding the scale property in our transform, and let's just do 0.3 so it will use 30% of the original size. Make sure you add the scale at the end and not at the start, else it would scale first and then translate and the circle would not be in center. Let's see. Now if I move my mouse outside the screen, it gets stuck. I don't like that, so let's just fix it. We start by adding another event listener, but this time we use mouse enter. As our mouse is entering the site, we want the opacity to be 1, and when it leaves, we want it to be 0. So we use leave event listener and create the opacity to be 0 so that our circle hides when it's not in screen, and it works perfectly. You could see that it is hiding, but I don't like that it is instant. So let's add a transition of opacity and give it 0.5 seconds, and let's see how this goes. If I move out, it transitions out and it looks better. Now to make it look like the circle is following our mouse, we can just add a delay to our mouse move function, and we can simply introduce it by using set timeout and adding a delay of 100 milliseconds so that the top and left value are delayed by 100 milliseconds, and that just makes it look like the circle is following our mouse. Just a small delay completely changes the vibe of the website and can make it look more professional. Maybe I should stop playing with it now. Introducing the delay actually created another problem, and that is when we enter the screen, you can see it is a bit buggy and I don't like how this looks. And we can simply fix that by adding a delay to our mouse enter function, and let's try it with 100 milliseconds first and let's see how it looks. It looks good. It is working, but maybe we should do 200 milliseconds and try it. Maybe that would fix it or look better. Let's see, and it looks good. So now that I have blinded you guys with the white screen, we will just make it black so that it is easier to watch, and we will also change the cursor from red to white so it looks nicer. Let's check if everything's working fine, and yep, it does look good, but I think we can reduce the size a bit to 0.2 and maybe that would look better. Now in the custom cursor div, I'm going to create 3 extra divs, and I'm going to give them class video icon, image icon, and link icon. Now for the icons, I'm going to add from font awesome, but you could use anything that you want. You could use image, icons, text, anything that you want inside that circle. For time being, let's just scale it to the original size by adding one inside our scale, and we can slightly see the icons that we have added, but let's just add some styling to it by adding the CSS for the video icons, for the image icons, and for the link icons. Now to visualize the icons, let's add a color red, and then we can just give it a font size. And if you are using anything else, you can use scale or any other property, but because Font Awesome uses fonts, we can use font size. And let's just give it position absolute and place it in the center by making top 50, left 50, and giving translate -50 in both axes. And that way they don't take any space and are overlapping on each other. The icons look very small, so let's just increase the size to 100. Way too big, let's do 80. We want our icons to be hidden by default, so let's give them opacity 0. So I'll just add my previously created content so that we could visualize our cursor better. You could check the code in my code pen to add these divs. To explain to you in a basic terms, I added a div. I've given them class name item, and inside of them we have given them a data type which shows which type of data it is or which type of content it is, and let's say it is an image, and let's just close it, and anything inside of this would be considered image, and when we hover on it, our image icon would be showing. So let's try to break down what we are trying to do. First thing we do is apply this effect only on the elements that have the class item. Then we check the data type attribute of that element. If the data type is only video, then we make the opacity of the video icon to 1 and the rest of them are transparent. Similarly, if the data type attribute is image, then we only show the image icon and keep the rest of it as transparent. Similar to the link icon, we will make the link icon opacity to 1 and rest of them would be 0. To explain in a short way, we check if the element has the class item, and then we check the data attribute, and based on the data type, we show the respective icons. Now let's add the reference of our CSS classes in our JavaScript and make sure you use query selector all for the item because there are going to be multiple elements with the class item. Now to make the cursor scale, when we hover on class item, we use for each so that it iterates on every single item class, and inside of it we add a mouse enter event listener, and inside of this we add the scale along with our translate property so that it scales from the center. Make sure to close the function, else it would not work. So let's see it. And when we now hover on any other item class, let's see if it scales, and it does scale, but now it is not going to scale down. So before doing that, let's just give it a z-index higher so that it is at the top of everything. Now we just need a mouse leave listener, and which just scales back to the original size that we have used, which is 0.2. Let's close the function and let's see it in action. Wait a minute, it's not working. What is happening? Well, I know, because the circle is being between our element and our cursor. To fix that, we can simply give pointer events none to our cursor CSS, and that way all the interaction would pass through the circle that is between the mouse and the elements. I don't like how it's jumping from one size to another, so let's just give a transition and make our transform be for 0.3 seconds. And look at that, it just looks so much prettier. So let's just add our if statement for the video and make the opacity be 1 when our mouse enters the element. And you can see that now when we enter our video element, which is like the data type video, it is only going to show the video icon. Now we also have to make sure that when we are not hovering on an element with item class, we just want no icon to be showing. So let's just make the opacity to 0. And also let's add some transition so that it is smooth and not just pops up instantly. Now you can see that the video icon is only showing when we hover on the data type, which is video. So let's just add else if statement for all the other two. And let's also add the opacity 0 when we hover outside the item class. This looks perfect to me and everything's working, but maybe the icon should be a bit below for the video because it does not look in center. So let's work with that. We can just create another class video icon so that it only applies to the video icon. Now let's give it a margin top and margin left and see how it does with 20 pixels. Oh no, that looks so ugly. So let's just give it a 3 pixel and it just looks much more better. This is my code pen and this is the first time I've created this style of video. So let me know if you like this type of video and check the code pen. You can also check my website for more stuff like this. Consider liking and subscribing, and yeah, thank you.